Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to part 3, the conclusion of Ask the King for April 2017. I strongly recommend you check out parts 1 and 2 first if you haven't yet, because they were really good. And now let's get to it. This is the big conclusion. Before I begin answering the final questions, it's time for our usual shout-out segment. If you wonder what this is, well, this is all because of the patrons right here at patreon.com/darksidephil. Over the past 3 months, yeah, I know it's been that long since I've actually done one of these shows. People have been pledging, and if you pledge $10 or more, you get an actual thank you shout out right here on Ask the King. So here we go. Without further ado, thank you to the following patrons who really have significantly helped me, especially these past few months when things have been really bad with YouTube. You've really helped me out and allowed me to do this as a job still. I thank you. And again, pledging to Patreon, you get a lot of cool stuff. So if you haven't even checked it out yet, I recommend you check it out. All right. Okay. Thanks to the following patrons. To Vera Austin, Jeffrey. Actually, I think Vera Austin, that's whose question I answered earlier. Oh, yeah. Jeffrey, Will Tucker, Martin Knotzer, Alan Hill, Brightside Viking, Fred, Peanut Brother, Mr. and Mrs. Kelcher, Villix, Abdulrahman Althani. I can't believe I didn't butcher that one. Steve O, AV, Casey Wood, Tom Dooley, Rick Eggers. Actually, Tom Dooley had a question answer too. Daniel Bonk, Erwin Hames, Hassan Kali, Thomas McDonald, Michael Hunt 2018, Last Rambo 341, QPZMWN, Papanix Elysian, Deep Drive, James, Faithin 13, Aaron Carpenter, Shinobi OS, Relique, Zathan, The Dead Cry, Stormforce Gamer, Jacob Hendricks, oh man, I've murdered this one. Shrios or Shokraos. Moving on. Astreus, Logan Shannon, Connor Brown, Joe Wiltshire, Nyankin 90, Michael Denault, or Denault, probably Denault, St. Jimmy, Zebra, Vivek Farrow, Flutter Knight, Planet Jeff, Christine Gebhardt, Peru for the Win SC, Kazi, Niromyth, Proto, Matthew Tisworth, Hank Duma, Sean Given, Richie Seven, Lewis, and last but not least, Anthony Romagna. Thank you, all of you. You guys and gals are awesome. And again, your pledges really significantly help me to do this every month as a job. So it adds up. And, you know, between getting cool perks like getting questions answered on this show, getting the thank you, private Q&A videos, getting you to participate in patron events. Like coming up, there's an event where I'm going to be playing the worst games ever, and it was the patrons who nominated and voted on those. Lots of reasons to pledge to Patreon, so please check it out, folks. Okay? All right, now on to the final questions. From Glammy Osprelian and Richie7. They each asked a question that was related, so I'm going to read both questions and then give you a collective answer. So first from Glammy Osprelian, he says, "Hey Phil, quick gaming question. I just watched your schedule update video and you suggested some ideas for downtime during the summer. Would you ever consider playing Silent Hill Origins or Shattered Memories if you have time, as you did with Homecoming last year? They're the only 2 games that you have yet to play in the series, and I always enjoyed your immersive playstyle on all of your other Silent Hill playthroughs." Subsequently, Richie asked the question, "Phil, would you ever consider doing a redemption run on the Bloodborne DLC? I think you have enough Souls combat under your belt now, including the faster-paced Neo combat, or is it, no, it's Neo, right? Neo combat, that you would be able to get through it a second time around. That DLC is highly regarded as some of the best content that From has ever put out, and your fans would love to see you battle the final boss of the DLC. I've also heard that's the worst fucking boss in the whole franchise. People say it's literally the hardest on purpose, and it's just unfair, and people hate that boss. If all else fails, you could always summon some Patreons to help. Alright, let's talk about the summer. This is a good discussion, folks. This summer, if you didn't see my schedule update video that I put out last week, I strongly recommend you check it out here on the King of Hate Vlogs. In June, for most of July, and the whole first half of August, there ain't diddly dick going on for games. It's really slow. There's maybe 1 or 2 major releases during that time frame. Typically, this always happens during the summer. As I talked about in part 2 of Ask the King, if you missed it, definitely check out my answer to someone's question about why that happens. I have a few good ideas for this summer. So here's some examples of things that I would like to do. Number 1, I either want to play Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, which was the remaster that was made for modern consoles that runs at 60 frames per second, apparently has a new final boss. The reason I want to do that is because, number one, I've never played Dark Souls in 60 frames per second, and number two, when I played Dark Souls 2, I played it at a build that was lightning spears, okay? Everyone complained it was too overpowered and it wasn't fair because it basically made the game incredibly easy, all right? Now, that's not against me because that was the design of the game at the time. From Software acknowledged that they had accidentally fucked up and made lightning spears too good and later on nerfed them. So if I actually were to try to play the game again today, it wouldn't work, all right? What I would like to do is maybe do a second run through that game where I play it without lightning spears. I either do a totally different build, or maybe I do the builds like I've been doing recently with Dark Souls 3, where it's more melee-based with a shield and a weapon. All right, and I think maybe that would be a more challenging run for me, and it would be more fun. Now, it wouldn't necessarily really be a redemption run, because I actually beat everything in Dark Souls 2 except for the Ancient Dragon. That was the one boss I never beat. I got close, but I didn't beat him. Maybe with a different build, right, with a different strategy, I would be able to go back and not only beat everything in the game, but beat the Ancient Dragon, and there's supposedly a new final boss. I think that would be an awesome downtime playthrough for the summer that people would enjoy on stream and on YouTube, all right? Another idea would be the Bloodborne DLC. Now, I have shied away from doing the Bloodborne DLC because I don't want to replay Bloodborne from the beginning. I just don't. That was a game I don't need a redemption run. I beat it legit. I really liked it. I enjoyed playing the game. And I don't need a redemption run for Bloodborne, all right? But I never beat the DLC. The DLC... it was a perfect storm of shit. Came out at a horrible time when I was already in the middle of other games I wanted to keep playing. I didn't really care about the DLC at the time. It was the hardest thing From Software ever put out, from what people have said. It's like literally the hardest. So it's like the perfect storm of double. Plus, people convinced me to play New Game Plus, which even increased the difficulty even more. It completely butt-fucked me. So in that regard, I think it's annoying that I did that, and I know it's one of the few things of From Software that I never did, because I just stopped after the first boss. I just never beat him. And people want to see me go back and beat it. I get that. But I'm not replaying Bloodborne from the start. I'm just not. It's a waste of time. It would take too long to get to this where this DLC would be. There is a viewer of mine who has played Bloodborne up to the point of this DLC. He has offered to lend me his PlayStation Network account during the summertime so that I can play the DLC. Basically what he did is he created a character and a build that would be kind of leveled in line for the DLC. And he has all ready to go. The problem is I have no time right now to do it. Number one, there's too many releases. And number two, I don't have room on my PS4 to download Bloodborne right now. I just don't, okay? What I'm thinking is during the summer, there'll be so few games going on, I'll be able to delete a bunch of the games I beat, and I'll have room for Bloodborne so that I can put it on there, and I can actually do that. So, the truth of the matter is the Bloodborne DLC is on the table, but... which do people want to see me do more? Because there's no way I'm doing both during the summertime. There's just no way. I don't want to do both of them, all right? Other ideas I have for the summer, incidentally, to Glammy Osprey, one of the ones I was thinking of doing was doing a Silent Hill game, because I haven't played a Silent Hill game in a while, and I think doing maybe one a year is a good idea. Like, he's right, the last one I did was, what was it? Shattered Memories? No, it was Homecoming. And then the year before that, I actually played Silent Hill 4, right? I've been doing, like, Silent Hill, like, once a year. I think that would be a good idea. However, I'm nervous because guess what? Some of my Silent Hill playthroughs, not all of them, but some of the videos are getting claimed by Konami. And I don't know why they're doing this. It's not consistent. They're not consistently claiming every single playthrough I've done of Silent Hill. It's like a video here, a video there. It's very odd. So I'm nervous if I play a game of Silent Hill, what if the whole playthrough gets claimed by Konami and I make no revenue on it? Well, that's going to screw me over for the summer in particular, because you know it's already going to be slow, all right? So I'm considering playing a Silent Hill game this summer, but it's not a guarantee. Another idea I have, and I think people will like this idea. Ladies and gentlemen, sadly, my Grand Theft Auto playthroughs have been absolutely destroyed on YouTube because they all have licensed music in them, okay? They all have the radio playing. It's all that licensed music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, depending on which Grand Theft Auto game I play. The videos are getting muted. The videos are getting blocked. Ever since I left the managed partnership with Machinima, all my Grand Theft Auto playthroughs are being utterly destroyed. Sadly, there was one wave that hit my Grand Theft Auto playthroughs in late 2013, and now a second wave has hit me now that I'm not in the managed partnership anymore. I can't even believe that these playthroughs are viewable anymore. Like, how could you watch it when every other video is either muted or blocked? It must be a major pain in the ass, and those playthroughs are now incomplete. What I would like to do, possibly starting this summer, is once a year, maybe during the summertime months, play one of the classic Grand Theft Auto games that I've played and completed, but the modernized version. Like, I believe they've redone San Andreas and Vice City. I could be wrong, but don't they have newer versions that you can get on the modern consoles now of these games, right? Now, sadly, since I'm not in a managed partnership, I would have to turn off the music. I know, the music's a very iconic part of the Grand Theft Auto franchise, but I can't do anything about it. This is how YouTube works. They've got an illegal content ID system claiming full ad revenue on videos, and not even that that's a big deal, it's the fact that these videos are going to get blocked and muted too, which makes the playthrough incomplete. So maybe during the month of July, I balance out the month, and I balance between, say, one day I play Grand Theft Auto Vice City, the next day I play a second run through either Bloodborne DLC or Dark Souls, the Scholar of the First Sin, right? And I could alternate between those two all month, plus maybe I'm balancing that with the Patron's Choice playthrough, right? That could be an awesome summer. Like, I'm gonna be honest here, and knock on wood, because hopefully things keep going as good as they've been going. And again, I gotta say thank you to everyone who's showing up for streams and cheering and subbing and tipping me. And thank you to those who continue to watch the videos on YouTube. If I could keep it at the level it's at now, and it was in March, hopefully I'll be here. I'll still be able to be doing this in the summer and pay my bills and everything, okay? But if we can get to the summer and there's no new releases, I think balancing between that kind of stuff, that could be a fucking amazing summer for streaming and videos. Like, I think people would love, I would love it. I couldn't wait. I seriously, those are games I love. I love the Dark Souls series, and I love Grand Theft Auto. And to balance my time, I think that could be an amazing summer. Is it as good as a high-profile new release? Of course not. But I think people would come out to watch that, right? I think it could be good. So let's play it by ear and let's see how the summer works out. Silent Hill, Grand Theft Auto, and something from Software could be an amazing summer to get us through. And then, the new releases start as early as mid-August this year. So once the new releases start hitting the hardcore gaming season, I'm always busy. And hopefully ad revenue will go up on YouTube. Who knows what's going to happen between now and then. Maybe YouTube will get advertisers back. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll lose even more. So we'll see. But hopefully it'll be a good summer. Like, I'm feeling overwhelmingly positive about gaming this year and doing this as a job. It just sucks that I'm in the financial straits I'm in right now. I'm more invigorated to do it than ever before. I'm looking forward to it. And now I might not be able to do it. That's the worst part. So again, thank you to everyone. Anything you could do to help. Teespring, Patreon. Show up to the streams and participate. Watch the videos. It's all appreciated. Okay. Next question is from Industrial Gamer. He says, Phil, hope you're doing well. My question is simple, but could require some hard thinking on your part. Name 5 games you would personally wish developers would either remaster with updated visuals or remake with enhanced gameplay elements for modern audiences. Very interested to hear your picks for this list. I'm going to go with things that from my childhood. Games that I loved that I think would be awesome if they were remade in a modern setting. Number 1, Final Fantasy 4 and 6. These games, in my opinion, are the best narratives in the entire Final Fantasy series. The stories are great. Tons of characters who you get to know and love by the end of the game, and you want more. You're craving more of them. The problem is they're stuck in the 90s. Those pixelated 16-bit graphics, and how many people are actually playing or experiencing these games because they feel they're the outdated old Final Fantasies. It wasn't until Final Fantasy VII when it went 3D, and now everyone's like, oh, Final Fantasy VII is a fucking masterpiece because it was 3D, not because of the plot or anything, because it was fucking 3D, which is stupid. I would love to see Final Fantasy 4 and 6 remade with modern graphics. Hell, even 5. So those are 3 games right there that I would love to see remade with modern graphics and even more modernized gameplay mechanics, but better stories, fleshed out stories, spoken dialogue. My God, those games would be amazing with spoken dialogue. That would be so cool. I would love to play those games. A game like Earthbound. I would love to see Earthbound remade, modernized, right? I'm trying to think way back. The thing is with platformers, like some of the classic platformers, I don't know if that would translate well to modernization. I would like to see Street Fighter 2 remade with modern graphics and gameplay mechanics. And you could argue, oh, well, they did that with HD Remix. No, they didn't. You know what they do with HD Remix? They had shitty, like, manga-like graphics that were terrible, and they didn't redo the game at all. It was just the same exact gameplay engine with tweaks. I would like to see Street Fighter 2 rejuvenized. Bring it in with the original cast of characters all in there, but you tweak their moves, you make it a more modernized game engine, right? Have it be a world tournament again, where you're actually going to different places around the world and flying. The original purpose of Street Fighter was that it was a world tournament. Now it's this convoluted bullshit where you're just going to places and fighting people for no fucking reason. The plot makes no fucking sense. They just throw shit in there, stupid gimmicks, and Street Fighter 5 is such a terrible piece of garbage. I would like to see it like a classic throwback fighter that's more about straight up gameplay than gimmicks and bullshit. And by the way, no fucking input delay, you dumb fucks. Geez, what else? Because I really got to go back to that era of like the 80s and 90s for me. The thing is, there's been a lot of throwback games. You think about, Yooka-Laylee just came out, and that's basically the modernization of Banjo-Kazooie, right? You've seen a lot of revitalization of these old franchises to be more modernized games. I mean, I would say Zelda Breath of the Wild is a great example of taking a game like the original Zelda and turning it into a modern game. I think that actually has happened. I would probably say it would have to be older RPGs, because that's the problem with these older RPGs, especially the ones that were sprite-based. Everyone hates on them. Oh, it's sprite-based art. That's so outdated. I don't want to see that anymore. These games have amazing stories, amazing soundtracks. They have stuff to add to the history of gaming and modern gaming, and they get overlooked so much by people just because they're old, and that ain't right. There's my answer. Okay. Next question. Hold on here. Let's see. All right. I have a few here, but I'm going to skip them simply because I've been going real long on some of the other questions. I'm going to go over to the final forum question, and then we're going to do Twitter questions, and then that's the end of the show, okay? So, the final forum question will be from The Right. And he says, hey, Phil, as a YouTuber and a Twitch streamer, how exactly do taxes work for you? Do you have to report 2 small businesses in terms of YouTube and Twitch? Are there any tips that you can give YouTubers or streamers in terms of not being screwed over by taxes, or any mistakes you made in the past that could help out someone doing it for the first time? I just did my taxes. So this is a very pertinent question. I can help people out. If you either do YouTube or Twitch or both, here's some advice. Number 1, you don't have to be a business. You can be. You can actually create a business, and you can have your own kind of business. You can say, do I want to be a sole proprietor? Do I want to be an LLC? It's all up to you. You could do that, and you could register it as a business, and then you can have certain tax filings and the like. I've never done that, and here's why, folks. I'm not an employee of Twitch, and I'm not an employee of YouTube. I'm considered an independent contractor, someone who makes royalty money on content and a service that I provide to both businesses, okay? Therefore, they can't fire me. I can't quit, but we have an agreement in place that we can basically dissolve at any time, all right? The way it works is based on ad revenue, or in the case of Twitch, it's based on cheer revenue, sub revenue, ad revenue, and tip revenue, okay? Outside of tips, all the money is funneled formally through either the partnership company that I'm with on YouTube, so it used to be Machinima, now it's Curse, or on Twitch, it's actually funneled straight directly through Twitch, the company. What happens is you sign up for these contracts, you give them your information on how you want to be paid, which is primarily PayPal, and they send money to PayPal every month dependent on your earnings, on how you do your performance, okay? For tax purposes, all right, these companies actually are not legally required to give me any kind of tax documentation whatsoever. So from my end, I have to be sure that I'm maintaining records, for example, my PayPal account history, so I can show this payment came in at this time. My bank account history to show at this time I transferred from PayPal to my bank account, yada, yada, yada. That's how it really works. You have to have that paper trail. So the good news is it's all automatically done. PayPal tracks that. Your bank account should automatically track that. As long as you have that stuff set in stone that you can see it when you have your tax time come around, or in case you ever get audited, as long as you can bring up that history, you're good to go, okay? That's in the case of everything I mentioned that's not tips or donations, okay? That's considered earned revenue. That's full taxable revenue that you have to report, all right? And you have to be sure that you pay taxes on it. Because the bottom line is, all that revenue you're bringing, I said the bottom line again, I just noticed. All that revenue you're bringing in has no taxes taken out of it, at least if you live in the United States. Now, I don't know how other countries work. In the United States, no taxes are taken out of any revenue that I get either from my partnership company on YouTube or from Twitch. It's just full on money. What I'm required to do, okay, is with my account, because I have an accountant that does my taxes every year, estimate the amount of income that I'm going to make in a quarter. So that's 3 months' time. At the end of every quarter, I'm required to send an estimated tax payment to the federal government. Now, also, when I lived in Connecticut, I had to send an estimated tax payment to the state government, but now that I live in Washington State, there are no state taxes here, so that's one that's gone away immediately, which was great, okay? This part is difficult because the bottom line, I said the bottom line, because it's hard to estimate what you're going to do. Right now, I have no idea what I'm going to make this month. I have no idea what I'm going to make next month. YouTube ad revenue could plummet. YouTube ad revenue could go back up. There's no way to tell. So how do you estimate what you're supposed to pay for a quarter of earnings? You can't really. It's a guesstimate. Really, it's not really an estimate. It's a guess. And sometimes if things are down, I'll pay less. And sometimes if things pick up, like the end of the year, I'll pay more. But mostly what I try to do is get an average estimate of what I'm going to make as a year as a whole. I divide it by 4, and those are the 4 payments that I make during the course of the year, okay? It's tough, and without having a professional to actually look at all your finances, it's very hard to figure out what you owe on your taxes when you're self-employed like I am. In addition, there's tons of tax write-offs for the self-employed. For example, anything that I buy that's related to the business, a video game, this controller, the cost of ink for the printer that printed out my questions for Ask the King or has anything business related, the cost of electricity in the house, the cost of the internet for the house, all these things are tax deductible, meaning I have to pay for them, but I cannot be taxed on them, meaning I will not have to pay taxes for the amount of money of stuff that I spend on the business. So if I reinvest money into the business, it helps me because it allows me to pay less taxes on a yearly basis. There's tons of things you can do that are considered tax deductible. This room is my office. I only come in this room if I'm going to do work for YouTube or Twitch. That's it. I don't come in this room for any other purpose. So because of that, this is considered my office, and anything within it is considered tax deductible, and I get a write-off of a certain amount of money every year for having a room in my house, certain square footage, that is for business only. When I lived in Connecticut, I was not able to get that tax write-off because my condo in Connecticut had a living room, and yes, the living room was used for business, but I also relaxed in there. I used it to watch television and all of that, and therefore that room was not legally able to be claimed on my taxes as a tax write-off, which sucked. I never got the tax break that I deserved for doing YouTube when I lived in Connecticut. So a huge asset to be able to claim that on my taxes, okay? Are there any tricks or any advice that I can give? Sure. Let me put it this way. If you're getting revenue that has nothing to do with YouTube or Twitch paying you or a partnership company paying you, for example, donations and tips, all right? I just recently adopted accepting tips on while streaming on Twitch. I have this thing set up that people can go to my Twitch page, you click on a link, you could put it in, you could be anonymous, or you could have your name and get a shout out for it, and you can send me a tip. And that goes directly to a PayPal account. The PayPal account associated there is a separate PayPal account for visibility on that, because I want that income to be completely separate from all of my other income. Why? Because if you mix that shit up, okay, and then, let's say, for example, some asshole sends you a $100 tip to Phil. Here you go. But then they try something called a chargeback. If you're not aware what that is, when someone sends you a tip via PayPal, what they can do is then say, oh, my credit card was stolen. That wasn't me. Or I didn't authorize that charge. My son did that without my permission. I don't authorize that. You should give me that money back. PayPal will put that transaction in dispute. Now imagine if you had not a separate PayPal, but it was your PayPal account where you have, your personal money coming in from your partnership company, from Twitch, from everyone, and all of a sudden you get a million chargebacks from assholes who were trying to troll you. Now all your funds are frozen. That's terrible. That's horrible. That'd be a very bad situation for people. So that's why I have a new PayPal account. It's separate just for the tips. And legally, it lets me have visibility on the amount of tips I'm bringing in every month. And if a freeze happens, I have a full visibility on it, and I'm able to take care of it and not worry about, oh no, now I'm locked and I have no money and I can't even pay my bills because all my fucking money got locked up in this account, okay? Now, the good news is PayPal doesn't put up with that shit anymore. As I learned very quickly, because I'm not even kidding you, the first week that I started accepting tips on Twitch, I had 3 different attempts at a chargeback. Okay, guess what I did? I wrote to PayPal and I explained, no, I'm a Twitch streamer. These came through Twitch. You could actually see for visibility purposes. Here's my business. These were tips sent during a stream. This person got an appropriate shout out. Therefore, the business transaction was completed. This guy is completely full of shit. And honestly, since they're now committing fraud, you should shut down their account. And guess what? PayPal responded and said, we have found in your favor, you keep the money, and we are going to penalize this person who tried to do this. I was so pleased. I was like, holy shit. PayPal actually sticks up for people who do this. So I was like incredibly happy. I'm like, wow, so that means when people are sending me these tips, if they try to troll, I'm still going to get the money, which is awesome. So awesome. That's what I recommend you do if you're going to accept tips via streaming. Big warning. Your tips are fully taxable just like the rest of your income. Some people seem to be under this impression that if people send you money during a stream, that's yours and there's no taxes or nothing on it. Wrong. All that money is fully taxable because it's a tip, not a donation. Legally, the wording that it works for United States law is that a donation is something given to someone with no expectation of anything in return, and it's non-for-profit. So if you give money to a foundation who's doing cancer research and it's a non-for-profit foundation, all they're doing is try to research to fix cancer, then that's a donation. But if you give money to a streamer, that's a tip, and therefore that streamer has to pay taxes on that money as if it were normal income they earn through any other source. So that's very important. I get the feeling there's some people out there who aren't doing their taxes right, and give it a couple of years, if the IRS catches up with them and realizes there's thousands and thousands of dollars that they didn't pay taxes on, there's going to be a nice big balloon payment coming up on their ass in the next couple of years. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if you hear that some big Twitch streamers, all of a sudden the bubble bursts on them, and next thing you know, the IRS is coming in to take all their income. But I don't know. All I know is I'm doing it the right way, and that's a big hope for you, I hope, with the information I just gave you, okay? Mistakes I made? I never really made any mistakes. The only mistake I really made was fucking doing this in Connecticut, because Connecticut is one of the worst fucking states that you can be self-employed in. Here's the deal with Connecticut. I'm not even lying. Number one, there's a self-employment tax that the state charges you that takes more money away from you just because you're self-employed. Gee, I really want to go start a business in Connecticut, don't I? It's fucking stupid. It makes no sense at all why they would do that, but they do it. They take more money from you. Number two, the real estate taxes in Connecticut are higher. Number three, the gas taxes in Connecticut are higher. Number four, there's state tax in Connecticut that you're required to pay rather than if it, like for now, I live in Washington State. There's no state tax. However, the sales tax here is higher by about 3%. So if I willingly choose to go out and spend money, okay, then I pay more taxes, and that's my choice. But if I just sit here and I work and I don't spend money, I don't pay those taxes. In Connecticut, literally just by working, you owe the state money. It makes no fucking sense, okay? And, of course, I hate the weather in Connecticut, but tax-wise, it was terrible. I was literally, every year, I'm not exaggerating, some years paying upwards of more than $5,000 or more to the state of Connecticut for nothing. Because I'll tell you, you might think, oh, well, all that tax money they're taking from you, the state must be beautiful. There must be amazing roads and highways. The infrastructure must be great. Pfft, terrible. It's better here in Washington. The roads here are smooth and paved, and everything here is nice. Out in Connecticut, the roads are falling the fuck apart. Everything's terrible. The government's there is awful. So if you're going to be self-employed and do YouTube and Twitch and everything for a living, do your research and try to start it up. Live in a state where you're not going to get completely destroyed by taxes because of bad government. Okay, now on to the Twitter questions, and this will wrap up the show for this month. First question is from Steven Bazinski. He says, Phil, do you ever plan on returning to do another Minecraft video? You seem to have fun playing the game in 2015. Really, my answer to that remains the same as it was when I stopped playing Minecraft in 2015. If there was an actual reason for me to go back, if there was a mod that people really found entertaining and thought that I would like for a particular reason, if Minecraft had a fun expansion where it was creative and different and people thought that if I played it, it would be great, or even for streaming, if people thought, oh, streaming Minecraft would be great for Phil and interactivity with his viewers or whatever, then I would go back and do it. But the truth of the matter is, since I did Minecraft in early 2015, I haven't gotten many or any major requests to ever go back and play the game. I was basically told, you've seen it. You've seen the breadth of what the game can do. Everything is a little tweak or a mod here or there. It's nothing amazing or, so huge or big and great that people are really going to enjoy it. It's kind of silly, honestly. Yeah, people still play this fucking game hardcore, but it's really this hardcore fan base of people who are still into it versus it's not as widespread appeal anymore, and really my viewership probably wouldn't care about it. So if there were demand, if there was a reason, I would. Right now, I'm not hearing any overwhelming demand or reason to go back, and that's why I haven't played it again. All right, from Glitch Crazed. He says, Phil, when you and Leanna eventually do get married, where do you plan on going on your honeymoon? Have you guys discussed it yet? No, because it's so far off, and the truth is, like I said, to even consider marriage, we have to get out of the financial straits I'm in right now. all right? Once that happens, how many ever years that could take, okay? Now we got to try to find stability. Like maybe I could split myself between doing YouTube and Twitch and finding maybe a steady job so I can at least have somewhere to transition eventually. Or maybe if money ever turns around enough, I could have enough money to start my own business, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen at this point now that YouTube ad revenue has gone into the fucking shitter. Yeah, I don't know. We have places we'd like to go. It's like I said, when I was gonna propose to her, we were planning on doing a California trip where we were either gonna be at like Universal or Disneyland, and I was gonna do something where I could propose at a nice dinner or something for her. You know, the thing that everyone wants, the fairy tale proposal. That sadly we never got to do because of all the shit that's happened in the past 2 years between false copyright strikes and ad revenue plummeting and all the shit and me falling out of the search engines on YouTube and everything making my business go lower and lower and lower with how much I'm making. It just got delayed to the point where we said we can't delay the engagement anymore. Let's just do it. Would the California trip be the honeymoon? I don't know. When I think honeymoon, I think more of relaxation, right? Rather than tourism. Because California would be a tourism trip. We'd do the Walk of Fame on Hollywood Boulevard. We would go to theme parks. We would do that kind of stuff. If we were to go on like a honeymoon, I would think like we want to go somewhere where we can relax. So maybe a tropical island or even I would say Europe, but no, I honestly think Europe would be a different trip. Even though we really want to go to Europe, we've talked about it. We'd like to go see maybe, England, France, Italy, those kind of countries. Maybe Germany, that kind of tour of Europe we'd like to do someday maybe. But we would also like to go to a tropical island. We actually were just talking about this recently that, yeah, maybe going on a tropical trip would be something that would be awesome. But the thing is, how we are right now, not even close. I mean, we're talking years of recovery. Again, unless if the Twitch thing keeps going positively the way it is, and I keep getting more people following me on Twitch, more people participating on Twitch, if YouTube gets its act together and earns back some of those advertisers that have quit the site and come back and the ad revenue goes back up to what it was on YouTube, between those two, if I could start getting my debt out of here and maybe in a couple of years things are looking better, then maybe we could consider even going on a normal trip somewhere like California. But right now, it's not looking good. Okay? From the Arid Lord, I haven't heard from him in a while. He says, hey, Phil, is there a chance of another Suicide Kings with fans for Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out later this year? Abso-freaking-lutely. I was so crushed and disappointed when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out and the multiplayer mode was so fucking different from what Red Dead Redemption's was. It didn't allow you to do fun stuff. You couldn't drive two cars across the airfield and slam them together and have a fun reaction. Instead, the cars would go boom and just stop. No one would fly out of their car, nothing. Jump off of a big building, it would just fade to black. And then you would just respawn instead of showing the character like fall and hit the ground or whatever. There were so many opportunities for zany things, but they made it so confined, that online mode. I honestly didn't like Grand Theft Auto Online. I know there's tons of people that do. There's people who still fucking play it to this day. I thought it was garbage. I thought it was far inferior to what they had created with Red Dead Redemption because they made it so constraining and so confined to these rules that they had created for their fucking online universe. I hope with Red Dead Redemption they go back to that formula from the first game. How amazing would it be? Just picture this. I'm playing Red Dead Redemption, new game playthrough, right? Awesome. 2 thumbs up. Going to be a fun experience. I can't wait to play that game later this year. But then I'm balancing that with maybe once a week I'm doing a session where I try to get people in and we do a session of Suicide Kings where once a week we come together. Let's go explore this mountain range and see if we can find creative ways to jump off and do silly shit. Let's bring a horse and buggy up there. All right, let's go to a desert and see what's out in the desert and do a shootout out there or whatever and just do stupid asshole-ish stuff. Imagine that. Like, that could be cool. So not only am I getting an awesome playthrough out of the game, but then we're doing interactive content with the viewers and the streamers and everyone. How awesome would that be? I would love it. But they have to make an online mode that's actually worth a shit and isn't so confining and so limited like Grand Theft Auto Online's was. It was just stupid. All right, 2 more questions. This one's from Dick Hancock, and he says, thoughts on the JBL and Mauro Ranallo bullying scandal? Oh boy. I have a lot to say on this, but I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. Right now in the WWE, we have a mentality of a certain group of people in the company, the wrestling company, that they think that it's still like 1980. They think that they're still in the Deep South. They think that it's still the good old boys club, and there's an inclusive group of people in the locker room who are elitist and better than everyone else, and they can fuck with people, okay? They can just fuck with people. They can steal their passports. They can make them go out and constantly force them to go get beers for people. And if they don't, then they'll haze them even worse. They'll do horrible things and prank them and do shit like that behind the scenes. Bullying. And it's stupid because this is not high school or elementary school. This is a company, a Fortune 500 traded company that has a legal responsibility to make sure that their employees are treated well. And they got the shit going on behind the scenes. Now, I don't know what actually happened between John Bradshaw Layfield and Mauro Ranallo, who were both commentators on SmackDown. Mauro Ranallo all of a sudden disappeared from the show. Then it was discovered that he was off social media. Everyone was concerned. Found out he had had a lapse into his depression, which he had suffered from but hadn't had a serious case of this in a while. And then come to find out, it was revealed, he said that it was because he was basically being bullied primarily by John Bradshaw Layfield. Now, we never had elaboration. Was it just because Bradshaw was basically calling him names during a broadcast, which was more of an on-air thing that was a character, which honestly, in my opinion, shouldn't have affected Mauro, because he's a professional broadcaster. He knows this is an on-air character. Why are you thinking that it's serious? JBL isn't being serious about it. Or was there behind-the-scenes shit where he was actually being bullied? Was he having pranks pulled on him? Was he constantly being harassed? What was going on? We don't know. We have no information from the actual story behind the scenes of what's been going on. Maybe it will eventually leak, but what we have heard is from other people who used to be with the company, who are no longer with it, who are coming out and writing books and shit saying, this company is ridiculous. People get treated poorly behind the scenes. There's people who get shit on, people who get pranked, people who basically get all this stuff happen to them. And you're just trying to make a living. You're just trying to survive and get by. And you got to deal with all this extra stress and bullshit that should have been left in the classroom 20, 25 years ago. And how could a grown man like JBL be pulling childish pranks on people, right? The truth of the matter is, all I know is through hearsay. I actually don't know what's really happened with this company. You can only believe what you believe, right? Or what you hear. It's all hearsay. If we get more information on what actually happened, and there actually is definitive proof that John Bradshaw Layfield did something to Mauro Ranallo to force him to have a lapse into depression and eventually leave the company, yes, JBL should be held accountable. And guess what? Management should be held accountable. Enough with this, oh, it's just a one-off incident. We apparently have evidence of ongoing abuse going on in this company, and apparently upper management like Vince doesn't give a fuck, because that's how the good old boys always did it, right? Guess what? Times change, and it's time for us to stop that shit. Just like TV went from Attitude Era to PG, sorry guys, the company has to fucking change too. Things are different now. We have people being treated better. We have, ways that people can force, them to be treated properly. And you can't have a company like that anymore. Honestly, no company really should be run like that anymore. Everyone should have a safe environment in the workplace. And if people are being bullied and mistreated, then they should have somewhere to go and some protection against it. And that's my feeling on it. But again, this is all based on speculation. I don't know if anything ever happened. Maybe Mauro's 100% lying. Who knows? There's no way to tell unless you actually have evidence. And right now, there's zero evidence of anything. Okay. Last question is from DJ, or actually his name is Finale Saint, excuse me. And he says, if you could redo one playthrough, what would it be? What was the game you enjoyed playing the most through your career? Man, this is a tricky one, all right? And the reason this is a tricky one is because I've played a lot of games for YouTube. I mean, 43,000 videos on DSP Gaming alone. Obviously, I've done a lot. There's been some games that I've really enjoyed, and I'd love to go back and play. I think I may be going back to play games like Dark Souls 2 or Grand Theft Auto this summer, all right? But ultimately, the game that I would like to go back and play again that I know I never can, this is the truth of the matter, Street Fighter 2 HD Remix / Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo or Street Fighter 4. You might say, well, why can't Phil ever go back and play those games? Because those were games that when they existed were in a time period. Why am I holding this microphone? I have no idea. They were specific to a time frame. Street Fighter 4, when it was new, it was a unique time. Everyone was excited and hyped for the game. The reinvigoration of Street Fighter, the rebirth of Street Fighter after basically being dead for a good 10 years or so. Actually, it was more like 7 years. It came back full force. People loved the game. It ended up becoming the game of the year for many people. Had many iterations. It was a unique time to be playing games. Then you had the emergence of YouTube, so everyone could share their gameplay activities with the world, right? It was a very unique experience to be playing Street Fighter 4 at that time. And at that time, I also played Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix, which again got notoriety with YouTube and everything. What happened was over the years, different versions of the game came out, more people started playing the game, it became more about less of the love of the game and more about becoming an internet fucking celebrity for playing the game. I mean, how many people came out of the woodwork who literally had never played Street Fighter before, and all of a sudden they're a top Street Fighter player and they're a big YouTuber? And it's like, but why are you playing Street Fighter because you like the game? Or are you playing it to be internet famous? You know what I mean? And sadly, that's what's happened with a lot of this stuff now, is people aren't playing the games because they're competitive in them, or because they like them, or because they have this passion for it, but because they want to make videos and make money, or stream and make money. That is something that should come with the passion. People should make money because they're passionate, because they're good, not just because they're a clown or they're entertaining or they talk shit or whatever it is, and then they end up winning tournaments subsequently based off of that and because they practice the fuck out. No, it should be because they're passionate about the game and they love the games and they dissect the games, they've been with the games for years and they want to share that passion with the world. Those are the people who deserve it, in my opinion. And over the years, when I first started playing Street Fighter 4, it was like this reinvigoration. Everyone wanted to play Street Fighter, and you saw people come and new people come in, and it was an amazing feeling. Within like 3 or 4 years of Street Fighter 4 being out, the gameplay had been watered down, and you had all these new versions where it was unbalanced and fucked up. Even the online presence of people playing online had completely changed. Now, every match had to be super fucking serious online now, because everyone knows that online matches really test your real skill level, right? Which is preposterous. But everything had changed, and it really became this kind of thing that I didn't want to be a part of. And that's the truth, is you can't go back in time, you know? At that time frame, the 2007 to like 2010 era of Street Fighter was a great time to be in it, because it was people coming in, new games, new hype, everything behind it. And then over the years, it kind of diluted into this thing that it was negative, and I didn't want to be a part of it. And you can't go back in time. I couldn't go back in time and replay those games and have that same level of feeling and competition, because it's not that anymore. It's completely changed. And that's sad. You'll never get that feeling back, you know? These games today, I don't get that feeling. I love them. I love fighting games. I'm really looking forward to Injustice 2 and Tekken 7, but I don't get that feeling anymore, that invigoration that we're in a big burgeoning era and it's a big hype like it used to be back then. That's kind of gone. It's a bygone era now for you. That emergence of YouTube at the time when Street Fighter was getting its reinvigoration, that's a time we'll never get back. Okay, folks, well, thanks for watching Ask the King. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Reminder, the next episode will be late June. Right now, it's around June 29th, 2017. The thread on the forums is already there for you to post up your questions. Teespring, check out the store. You can get cool stuff like this mug and or t-shirts and stuff. Patreon, I've mentioned many times during this show why Patreon is important and how you can participate in this show and help support my efforts to keep doing this. Thank you, everyone, for the past month and a half since I have changed up my style on YouTube and on Twitch. Things have been going well. If people keep showing up to the streams and cheering and subbing and tipping, if people keep watching the videos on YouTube, and I can stay at the level I'm at, I think things will work out. I want to get to this summer. Remember, I just told you about the awesome summer I'm planning. I want to get to it. I have to get to it. All right? So let's keep it going. All right? Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you liked the show. I will see you in 2 months' time for the next episode of Ask the King. Peace out, everyone. See you later. Thanks for watching. Look at that hair. Oh, my God. Cool.